Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Soul and Screen. In this particular video, I will be doing a prediction review for tonight's episode of Tyler Perry's Sistas. We are in season number 9, episode number 16. I believe it's called The Unbreakable Bond. So let's just get into it. Last episode, and leading into the promo video, we see where Fatima is waiting at the bar. In last episode, she had discovered that Zach had saw Andy naked. He disclosed to her that, it was an accident and everything. But Fatima was, upset that he did not tell her sooner and that Andy did not tell her at all. So she decided to go over to the restaurant to confront Andy about the situation, and in regards to what her Andy's mom confronting Fatima about getting herself together or she's going to be out of a job. So picking up from the promo, Fatima is at the bar. Andy comes over and is like, hey, what's going on? And so Fatima asks her straight out, should I be concerned about my job or anything like that? And Andy looks to have this look of bewilderment on her face, which in a way, I kind of get to an extent, just because if, she never really had that conversation with her mom. First of all, her mom, even bringing it to Fatima's attention, if she did have that full discussion with her mom about letting Fatima go, that was nothing that her mom should have been able to, communicate to Fatima. So she may be a little kind of wondering what's going on, or that look could have been even in response to her saying maybe like, no, like, what are you talking about? And I see like maybe Fatima explaining what happened with her mom, and Fatima, Fatima telling Andy what her mom did. And then Andy saying something along the line of, while I haven't been exactly, happy about the way that you've been handling business, you don't have anything to worry about. I just probably need you to get back on your P's and Q's again. Like I said, I honestly don't even feel like that conversation is warranted, but this is kind of what I'm thinking maybe she's going to say. And then that will lead Fatima to say, now let's talk about this whole situation with Zach seeing you naked and you not telling me, because once again, Fatima, that is something that Fatima should have told. Andy should have told Fatima. Zach had a lot going on because his baby passed, and he still should have said something to Fatima, but he definitely had a lot going on. So I can see why that wasn't necessarily priority, since it absolutely was an innocent situation. Andy did not. Andy at this point is moving forward like nothing happened, as if she's not really having the traumatic, experience or even the effects of trauma that she had was showing in the earlier episodes when, she was busting out crying or having those moments where she was having panic attacks. Like, she doesn't seem to be doing that anymore. So I'm kind of with Fatima on this. Like, why wouldn't you tell me? Because it don't look like you got nothing going on. But getting on me about minor, and I do believe they're minor, organizational issues, or me dropping the ball, so to speak, in ways that are not necessarily detrimental to what's going on in your case. So I think that's probably the conversation, how that's going to go. I don't feel like Andy will have any kind of way to justify that or anything. So I guess the question is how much Fatima will believe her or accept her apology and that kind of a thing. At this point, for me, I'm feeling like Fatima needs to kind of tell Andy, we probably need some space. Like, I feel like Andy has been doing way too much. Like she did point out to Zach in the previous episode, like they've just been there for her way too much for her to be, acting the way that she's acting, all sideways and stuff, because over, just a couple of little little slips at work. And I don't know if the writers are going to use this whole innocent, Zach walking in on her as a reason or an anchor for her. That's the reason why she's been acting shady with Fatima, but I don't see why why it would be. It's really kind of far-fetched to me, because why would you be treating me jacked up and mean or bad, when you the one who keeping a secret that he walked in on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Fatima didn't have anything to do with that. In all honesty, it was an innocent thing, just like Zach calling out her name, her not hearing anything, or to me, it seems a little bit more suspect, but that should be the reason why Fatima, if anything, is being shady with Andy, not Andy being shady with Fatima. So with this whole Andy being shady with Fatima, outside of it just truly being jealousy, I'm not really, I don't really see a true foundation for it. Outside of it, that's why I'm kind of stuck on it, her being jealous that Fatima is, again, checking all boxes, because other than that, I don't really see any type of a foundation on why she would be upset that, or acting this way for Fatima for making a couple of mishaps one day. So anyway, with that being said, let's move on to Andy and Danny getting into it at the restaurant. So it looks like they're going to have some words. And once again, I say, sometimes the pettiness of this friendship like surfaces because Danny is actually talking to Andy about current situation. Like, you starting to lie, you hiding stuff. This is all stuff that you are doing now. And this is all stuff that has in the recent past gotten us in trouble to the point where I was called in to be questioned about a possible, stabbing of your fiance, and this dude that for some reason you have not been able to get out of your system, no matter what he's done to you. He's literally abused you. He's cussed you out. He's almost got your job, got you fired from your job multiple times. And yet you still kind of seem to be cool with letting him in your house to apologize. Like, just, I can see why Danny was a little salty with Andy. So what I say that to say is that this is stuff that Danny is talking about, this more recent stuff, but in the preview, you hear Andy say something like, what about the dude that you almost went to jail for and stuff? And so I'm assuming that's something that happened prior, maybe around college or even a little after, but it has not happened within this time frame of this series, which in all honesty, it hasn't been long. If you think about it, like, in all honesty, from season 1 to 9, we really are just within like a pregnancy. So of Karen. So probably a good, maybe 10 months if you want to count like maybe the first part of the first, 2 seasons, since Karen didn't really get pregnant until the end of season, or her and Zach had sex the end of season 2. So, let's go ahead and say, let's make season 1 and 2 maybe a month or 2, I guess. So it hasn't been a full year. So, but with that being said, she's still bringing up old stuff. And Andy, and they all seem to do this. They all seem to like go back and bring up people in the past. And it doesn't seem to be based off, but they seem to always hit college. And that's the part that ticks me off, because like, how many times are you going to bring up college? Like, college was a whole, was decades ago, almost 2. So what I'm saying is, if you can't bring anything up that happened within the past couple of years, then I feel like that's a sign of growth. Like, if I did those things in my 20s, that's where I'm supposed to kind of mess up and do some stuff. If I did that, I'm 30, they're 35, so they're 35. So even if they did it even in the first 5 years of their 30s, and then now, or the first 4 years of their 30s, or 2, you know what I'm saying? But if they've made it somewhere between 32 to 35 and they haven't had these situations, stop bringing this up. Like, I don't need you to bring up stuff that happened when I was 29 and 30. Like, duh, we 35. Like, if you got to pull something that I did wrong up from 5 years ago or more, you scraping. And that's what I'm saying. Andy and does not like being called out on certain things. In the past seasons, Karen has been at, Andy's defense and pulling up old stories and stuff like that. I will say not so much Sabrina, but more so the Karen and Andy situation, since they were the ones who were like super cool with each other. So it was always like when they were like in the bank, when Danny was talking to Andy, Karen immediately started trying to bring up, the old dudes, and then Andy jumped in and did the same thing. So they tend to try to like jump her, so to speak, to get her to hush, or, just so that they don't have to have any type of accountability for their actions since then. So anyway, looks like they're going to get into it. And then somehow, looks like Karen's going to be like, what's going on? And Andy's going to say something like, I feel like we drifting apart. And I feel like she's probably going to bring up to Karen, like, for instance, you call Fatima out of all people instead of calling us to come and get you. So obviously something is going on. And it'll be kind of interesting to see how, or if the writers allow that conversation to play out, and what it'll look like. But looks like that's kind of when Karen's going to explain that she, her and Aaron are leaving. I'm looking forward again to see if Danny, because the other two I don't see doing it, will pull Karen's card and ask like, so you leaving with this dude and you don't even really like him like that? Like, you just had a baby with him. But in all honesty, you've been, chasing after Zach for this whole time. Now you bet. Like, I'm really wondering if they are going to let these hard conversations and storylines pop out for this sister group, because I think Danny would be the one to call it out. And it's going to be interesting to see if they actually let it play out authentically, because I do feel like that's something that Danny would say. Andy been in kind of a mood, so she might even be the one, but I doubt it. Is probably more so going to be Danny who calls it out. Moving on, let's see. It is Gary coming up behind Fatima in the parking lot. So first of all, like, how many times you want this chick to pull out on you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she, like, quit. Like, why do you keep coming at her? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, didn't she? No, she pulled, well, she had her piece. She didn't necessarily pull it out on him the last time at the, in season, what was that, 7, when she went to confront him. She just had it. But why is he coming up behind her? So here's my thing with Gary and his whole, making amends thing. Crap. So I just don't believe it. Like, so if you truly are just making amends, then first of all, you wouldn't just be popping up at people. Like, an apology, and where people who don't like you, who don't want to see you, that warrants a phone call. And, I would like to schedule some time because I would like to apologize to you. So you give that person the option to yay or nay it, because again, you forcing yourself to into somebody's space to apologize and stuff, like, that's about you. And so, you can be ready to make amends and apologize to somebody, but that does not mean that that person has to listen to you. Just because Andy did, and I honestly don't know why Andy believes it, because this is like the second time that he untold Andy he leaving, and he didn't leave that last time. And true enough, they ended up getting engaged and everything, but he told her he was leaving like that night. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, he was like, I'm going to Boston and I'm leaving tonight, and you can look, and if you don't believe me, but he didn't go nowhere. And I think he's doing the same thing now. I don't know how true and realistic it is that Gary is leaving. I will say that I could see him probably trying to give people's money back to see if that will smooth things over so that, he can stay. But I don't see that him, popping up at people's house. Like, don't nobody want to talk to him. Like, he went to Hayden's house and, can I come in? And he, again, wanted to apologize and all this kind of stuff, when all of this really is just a phone call or a message. But you forcing yourself into the spaces is, to me, Gary kind of seeing how far he can get. If they will listen to me, then maybe I ain't got to go nowhere. Maybe I'm just, they'll accept my apology, and then we can just kind of move on. And, because he can still kind of insert himself into these places and spaces. Because at this point, Gary has like burnt his butt business wise and everything. So he probably, is just trying to make amends so he can build these bridges back up and see if he can save them or anything like that, especially when it comes to Hayden, since him and Tamara ain't really together no more. So it'll be interesting really to kind of see what happens with that. I'm gonna be really honest, as much as, again, I'm a person who I don't want to see nobody out of work or anything, but if they not gonna give Gary a different storyline outside of Andy, then I honestly could care less if he's on the show anymore. I think if they're not going to give him a different storyline outside of her, or I'm just tired of the Andy and the Andy and Gary situation, because it's very much so stalkerish, and Andy should have been at this point put a restraining order on him. And you know what I'm saying? The fact that she even let him in her house for an apology when this man has literally abused you. He's threatened you. He's threatened your life. He threatened your boyfriend's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you gonna let him in your house? Like, yeah, I ain't got time for that. So anyway, I'm not really kind of believing that. And that's pretty much it for the prediction. Again, when I was reading the synopsis, it looks like it's going to be some Maurice Page and her brother kind of stuff. And I'm telling you right now, if this is the most of the episode, I'm really not going to be watching that much. I'm really kind of wanting to just catch the replay, but I'm going to watch it. But if it's 15, 20, 30 minutes of Maurice Page and whatever in them, is really just going to be playing in the background until I see a scene that I want to watch, because I'm not sure why they made them the highlight of this episode to the point where they made the synopsis about them. But I'm going to be really honest. If it's anything more than a good 7-10 minutes, you can count me out. I'm gonna tap out and wait till I see the Fatima and Zach, and I'm even more interested in Gary having a conversation with Hayden and what that conversation is going to be about than I am about these secondary characters getting all this screen time that they've been doing this season. So anyway, that's pretty much it for my thoughts on what's going to take place tonight. I will definitely do a review and post it tomorrow morning sometime on the episode tonight after it airs. But go ahead and give me your thoughts about what you think is going to happen with the conversation with Fatima and Andy. Do you think we'll actually get a pickup scene where Fatima actually does make it home with Zach and they talk about it some more? Or do you think they're just going to leave it how it was and we never hear about it in regards to them two anymore? Or what are your thoughts? Also, what are your thoughts in regards to how the conversation between Andy and Danny are going to go? Like, do you think she's going to read, Danny's going to read Andy her rights, like real talk? Because she's been kind of letting some stuff slide and, getting attitudes with Danny, like asking her if she on her cycle and stuff like that. Like, it don't got nothing to do with truth, babe, like at all. So it'll be interesting, but let me know what you think. Let's get into the conversation. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye.